Hello everybody, welcome to Marketing Analytics course. This is Dr. Shagata Chatterjee from Vijisom IIT Kharagpur who is taking this course. We are in week 11 and this is the last video in week 11. This is regarding another paper which talks about drivers of helpfulness of online hotel reviews, the sentiment and emotion mining approach. So, this is something that I also want to just copy here as I did for the last video and probably paste it here. And you can again see this thing. So, all two versions you can see it in my in the Science Direct, and you can also see in the same thing in the probably the ResearchGate as I have shown. So, drivers of helpfulness of online hotel reviews. So, the highlights are basically this: textual reviews and quantitative ratings are used to explain review helpfulness. What is the helpfulness? We will talk about. Text mining is done to find the polarity, sentiment and emotions from the text. This is something that we find out. Econometric and machine learning techniques were used and contributes towards review performance literature and review management strategy. So, let us talk about what is review, what are the helpfulness. So, I will just delete this one. Okay. So, online hotel reviews are basically again these are important in performance indicators. They are second most trustworthy platform after recommendations from family and friends. So, the most important in a hotel choice is what your family and friends are suggesting. But after that, after taking into account your family and friends recommendations, the next thing that you generally go for is the online review platforms. And these are also source of information for prospective customers. So, online hotel reviews are basically important. It is very easy to understand that they are important source of information. So, if they are important source of information, and if I am a hotel person, I have to also know that which reviews will be more contributing towards customers decision making and which reviews will be less contributing towards customers decision making. So, in other words, which reviews will be more helpful and which reviews will be less helpful. Now, if I know this information that this review is more helpful and this review is less helpful, then using that information I can probably find out that if that particular helpful review is a positive review, I should probably boost it up further. I should spend money on that particular review to so that it gets shown in various places through digital marketing or whatever. On the other hand, if there is a review which is negative and which is going to be very helpful for the customers, that means which is decisive and negative, then I have to do whatever I can do. I can probably call that reviewer and say that why this happened, why don't you change the review, I will give you better service next time, this, that. So, some service recovery mechanisms we should take up. So, or if that particular customer is very adamant, then I have to create certain digital marketing strategy, so that that negative reviews does not gets very much viral or something like that. So, any service recovery kind of strategy, image recovery kind of strategy we have to take. So, before we decide that which review, but then there is a negative review, let us say, which is not going to be very helpful. Somebody said that this is very bad, I do not like this hotel, but that is all, no reasoning, nothing. So, that review might not be very helpful review. So, then there is no point on spending your time on that kind of a review. So, it is more important to find out which reviews are going to be viral, and then if there are positive reviews, make it viral more. If there are negative reviews, try to find out that what are the causes why these are negative review and try to rectify that. And sometimes it can be so messaging that particular reviewer is also involved when I am saying all of these things. So, why this study? If we could correctly predict a potentially popular review, as I was telling, it could certainly help both the hotels and the consumers alike. If I know that this particular review is going to be very popular, it will help hotels because hotel can take corrective measures. How it will help the consumers? Then the consumers will know that if I want to have my voice listened by many customers, what should I do? That kind of an idea they should get. Hoteliers will, so because review writing is a I would say business today. So, you will know there are lots of influencer marketing guys who sometimes write positive review about a product, Sometimes also negative reviews about some other products and get paid for it. So that also becomes important a variable which ethical questions are keeping aside, that whether this particular thing model that we are developing can be used in that context also, to know that okay, this review is going to be more helpful or more viral or more decisive, and that reviews is less decisive. So that kind of decisions can also be made. So going ahead, hotels will get genuine feedback which would lead them to enhance quality, that is also important. Shortlisting of reviews is possible for customers which will help them for purchase decision making. So that is also an important aspect. Hotels can motivate satisfied customers to write online reviews which will enhance their branding and value proposition. And the last one is a reviewer could also know how to write good or helpful reviews. So there are various places where this particular thing can be applied. So keeping that in mind, we have created certain hypotheses. For example, we told that the higher the total sentiment content in the text of the review, the more helpful the review is perceived. What is total sentiment content? I told that there is positive sentiment or negative sentiment, both, right. Now, total sentiment is an addition of positive plus negative. If you remember, in the last class, we did overall sentiment as positive minus negative. I am not saying positive minus negative count, I am saying positive plus negative count now. So, positive plus negative means, if let us say if in a text I have 10 positive worded positive words and 15 negative words, then the total sentiment content is 25. That means, anything that I am expressing good or bad, rather than being neutral, I am saying I am putting my opinion in 25 aspects or not in 25 different ways. So that is something which I am saying is helpful. When people give very neutral diplomatic answers, those are not decisive reports or decisive reviews. When people give very much, it might not be biased, but very opinionated answers, that might be decisive. It might be positively biased, negatively biased, or neutral in overall sense. Overall sense, let us say somebody is talking about doing a critical analysis of this particular training program or this course that we are doing. They can say that okay, this is very good, all good things which are positive, which is also decisive, all bad things which is negative, which is also decisive, but or probably balanced, both positive and negative, but he is not giving diplomatic answer. He is not saying that it can be good or bad, he is not saying that. He is saying specifically, okay, so this part of these things are good, this part of these things are bad. When people specifically say all these things, then overall sentiment content, not the overall sentiment, but the number of words which are related to any sentiments goes up. As number of words which are related to any sentiment, positive or negative, goes up, that particular review becomes more helpful. Because people want, the readers want opinions, readers don't want your diplomacy in a review, they want your opinion. So as long as you are giving your opinion, that is increasing the helpfulness of the review. On the other hand, if your opinion is very polar, if your opinion is all the positive opinion that you are, all the opinions that you are giving is only in the positive side or only in the negative side, very much biased opinion will create a less, because then people know that okay, you are probably paid or you are probably very angry with this particular service provider and venting out your anger here. So all of these things might not be taken into account positively by a reader. So that is why I am saying that the higher the polarity of the text of the review, the less helpful the review is perceived to be. So that is also important. So you have to write lots of positive and negative things, but you cannot be biased. You have to do a balanced in both of the way. Then what? Then obviously the interaction of these things has a negative relationship also. So your positive reviews goes up, the overall review content, sentiment content goes up, you become helpful. Your polarity goes up, you become less helpful. Both of them is so polarity is high and high sentiment. That means you are using lots of only negative or only positive words. it will be further more negative. So, the interaction effect, the multiplication of polarity and total sentiment content will have further negative impact on the review helpfulness. And the same applies for the title also. So, if whether it is a text or the title, polarity is not good. So, that is obvious. So, these are the first 4 hypotheses that we are dealing with. Next I am saying that there are different kinds of emotions. In the last class we discussed that there are 8 kinds of emotions, if you remember, and these 8 emotions are what? There are 4 positives and 4 negative emotion. Now, we break it into arousal, high and low in this also. So, if you remember, the positive one was anger. Anger is a high arousal, negative. Disgust is a high arousal, negative. You want to do something. When you become angry, you want to harm somebody. When you become disgusted, you want to shout loud. So, these are basically high arousal, it makes you to do something, and a negative emotion. On the other hand, sadness is a low arousal emotion, or fear is also high arousal, you want to run away. Disgust might be both, it is a continuum, I am not saying very. So, probably if I just put it in this way, then disgust might be in the middle of this thing. On the other hand, when I talk about, let us say, joy is a high arousal, okay, and let us say trust is a low arousal, positive, anticipation is low arousal, positive, and surprise is also high arousal. So, we can break it in this way. Now, here I am saying that again this low arousal stuff are less contributes towards a decision. Low arousal stuff is very much personal, it does not affect. If I trust somebody, does not mean that you should also trust that person. It is very personal feeling. So, on the other hand, anger or joy or surprise is very much action oriented, and action is something which impacts other people as well. So, high arousal emotions might have higher impact than low arousal, and also we have found out that high arousal negative reviews might have further bigger importance. The higher the emotions associated with negative valence and low arousal, the more helpful the review is. The higher the emotions associated with negative valence and high arousal expressed. Okay, so, this is opposite. I am saying that when things are negative, if it is a negative valence and high arousal, that means like disgust, fear, anger, we do not take it positively, because as a reader I think that that is a personal experience. This is not something that is actually very common. On the other hand, if by chance this particular review is negative and low arousal, like sadness, sadness is more related to expectation disconfirmation theory, that I expected something, I did not get that. So, that might be more helpful to understand something. So, that is how we can take a look that how emotions can impact the review helpfulness. And the last is the length of the review. Obviously, the more of the length of the review, it will have a positive impact, the more is the review helpfulness. So, we need vivid description. So, the more you write, the better, as simple as that. And so, as I told, length of the review has a positive relationship, and the higher the overall quantitative rating is, the more helpful is the. So, we generally have a positive bias, positivity bias. So, the rating that you give, the more it is higher, the more people read it. So, that is why they get more helpful votes. So, this is something, and the last one is, this is also important, that the higher the time distance between the experience and review posting. These are quantitative information. Still now the sentiment, emotion, polarity all were coming from review text, but overall rating that I just told was coming from the quantitative. This is also quantitative. In a review, I told in the last video, if you remember, there was a date of the review and the date of the travel. As this distance goes up, so let us say you posted a review within two days of your travel, versus you posted a review after 2 months of travel, which one will be more helpful? So, we as a reader know that fresh memories are more helpful. So, if the distance of the travel and the distance of the review is lower, the travel and the talking, then it becomes a very important variable that okay. So, if it is lower, then it might impact the helpfulness more. So, the higher the time distance between the experience and the review posting, less helpful the review is perceived to be, that is also important. And the higher the past helpful votes received by the author is, the more helpful the review. So, if the author is more trustworthy, that means in past he has got lots of helpful votes, then this particular thing will also be helpful. So, that is not a causal relationship, that is just a correlation. We have to control for that, that this author is anyway writes good I would say reviews. So, I have to control for his writing ability. So, how I can control for the writing ability of this particular person? By checking that whether he is anyway gets good more helpful votes or not. If he anyway gets more helpful votes, then that will anyway have an impact on his current particular reviews number of helpful votes. So, that has to be controlled. So, these are various hypotheses that we have developed. This is the overall this thing. So, review helpfulness is our y variable, and some things comes from text like total sentiment content, content and title polarity, and the interaction effect of that, then negative valence, low arousal, negative valence, high arousal, both kind of emotions, and the length. These are all from text part. The quantitative rating comes from the and then some reviewer characteristics and review characteristics. Reviewer characteristics is how many past helpful votes he has got, and review characteristics is the distance, the time distance between the review posting date and the travel date. All of these things we have brought into the model and try to predict and explain review helpfulness. So, this is our basic model. So, the extra variable that is coming up in this particular thing is basically the interaction effect, which is extra over and above the previous model. So, we use tripadvisor.com. There were 942 observations of 40 hotels in a 1 to 5 point scale. We used text mining technique, and as usual we used affine to find out the sentiment, and NRC Emolex to find out the emotions, and these are the 8 emotions that we have got, and these are the mean and standard deviation of the variables, some descriptive statistics, and this is how the regression works. So, we did Poisson regression 1 because see this is count variable, right. These are all count variable, which is the number of helpful votes. So, for that we use Poisson regression, and we have also used negative binomial applicable for count variables, while lots of zeros are there. So, most of the reviews has not got any post. So, if you see that average helpful votes in this review, the mean is 1.63 and standard deviation is 3.58, which is pretty high. So, I cannot probably should not do a Poisson regression here, we should do a negative binomial regression, and that is what I have done, because Poisson regression the mean and standard deviation are same. And here what I found out by this analysis is that first of all the RC is what? Review content, I just let me, PL stands for polarity. So, polarity has a negative effect, we are getting it here, fair enough. And then title polarity also have a negative effect, we are getting it here and here also. So, H4 is supported, H2 is supported. Overall sentiment does not have any impact. So, this is actually not significant, and RC is the length that I will discuss about this thing. This has a important, RC means the length of the review count, basically length of review, how many words are there in the review. That has negative significance, we thought positive, but it is negative. So, it is opposite, not H7, basically it is opposite of H7 is what we are getting. So, that I will discuss later. And overall rating has a positivity bias, fair enough. supported. Now, time distance has a negative impact, very small negative impact, but still supported. DSG, that means disgust. Disgust has a positive impact, which is supported. Disgust is a probably what I can say is a okay. So, disgust is medium arousal. So, I cannot say H5 is supported or not, but sadness I can say, because it is actually low arousal. On the other hand, fear is negative and fear is high arousal. High arousal, negative valence. So, these H5 and H6 is supported, and the last was THV. THV was I forgot that, and this is basically the interaction effect. Interaction effect is also supporting, and THV is supporting H10. Let us see what is H10. The higher the past helpful review. So, past helpful reviews also has a positive impact. That means, as the guy is more helpful in general, the number of helpful words in this particular review will also go up. So, that is also supported. So, basically H1 is not supported out of all these things, and H7 is opposite. So, to be precise, this H1 is not supported, this is not supported, and this is negative. Why this is negative? Because this says that basically now our understanding says that after doing this analysis, whatever there were hypotheses that we are testing, hypothesis might not be true always. We have to check that whether they are true or not. So, after doing that, I found out that there is no point on writing a long review. After you have told all of your information that you wanted to say, you have expressed your emotions, you have given the polarity and sentiment and etc. Controlling for this, just blabbering your experience has nothing to do. That will not make this particular review helpful. You have to give very much lots of information, opinions and informations which can lead to certain decision. Just writing a this much long review, giving your experience, nobody wants to know your experience, nobody wants to know what you ate in the hotel, why you slept in the hotel, what you did in the hotel. They want to know that whether the hotel staff is good, whether the food is good. They do not want to know that what you ate and whether you enjoy Chinese or Japanese or American, which kind of food. They want to know that whether those foods are available and what is the taste of those foods. So, give the right information in the review. Do not give a travel, there is a difference between a travel blog and a review, and a reviewer has to understand that. So, that is something that becomes important. So, a polar title would lead to distrust and thereby making less helpful. Negative emotions and low arousal has in effect higher helpfulness scores. The study suggests that overall quantitative rating has a positive and significant relationship. Time distance will have a negative and significant relationship. The result suggests a significant positive relationship between past helpful words received by the author and review helpfulness, and we also found that higher length of the review text leads to lower helpfulness. So, some of this understanding we are getting from this particular. We also tried to check using using Poisson and negative binomial to check that whether the results are. What are the managerial implications? It gives an idea about how to predict potentially popular reviews. So, we can use this model, we have used in this model actually. In the predictive model also, we have used random forest and decision tree and normal regression to check that which one is giving better prediction, and we have found that boosting or random forest is giving the best prediction, but these are not very. We have also used ANN, but regression is not giving very bad result even in the predictive thing. So, that is okay, we can go ahead with regression. So, by saying that I am saying that I have created a predictive model how to predict that which review will be high or low. That predictive model was created by this particular equations that we have created, and information about the drivers of review helpfulness is important for sellers. This information will help them in review solicitation process. They want to know that and which they can use to promote their business. And drivers of review helpfulness are also important for a reviewer who can get information about how to write a good helpful review. So, it can help a reviewer and it can help a business. So, both it will help. So, that is all for how we can apply this thing in various contexts, and we will be discussing about a little bit brief about topic modeling in the next video probably, and then we will go for week 12. So, thank you very much. I will see you in the next video.